On November the 8th, millions of Americans will cast their ballots in the US midterms. The outcome of state-level races will influence climate and energy policy for the next 4 years. That's significant as the onus is now on state-level political actors to deliver on the federal targets of a 50% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions by 2030 on 2005 levels. We've redone our credibility and durability methodology for the US states, identifying those states which are currently on course and off course to meet their decarbonisation goals. In this two-part series, we'll look at those races with real political significance ahead of the US midterms. This is Baringa's State of the Energy Transition US Midterm Election Special. This year, the US has passed a landmark piece of climate legislation called the Inflation Reduction Act. That's promised billions of US dollars to make available for tax credits and subsidies of renewable energy, turbocharging the energy transition. However, there is considerable uncertainty over the potency and impact of the IRA, owing to the dependency on state-level political actors to garner the support, the policy and regulatory environment to fully capitalise on the passage of the IRA. Independent analysts suggest that if fully implemented, the IRA could reduce emissions by 40% by 2030 on 2005 levels. However, if it isn't fully implemented without state-level support, the emission reduction could just be 30%. We've redone our credibility and durability methodology at the state level to try to assess those states which are on course or off course for their decarbonisation targets. You can see on our credibility axis, we look at policy maturity, evaluating states in accordance with their regulatory, policy and committed agenda on decarbonisation. On our durability axis, on the y-axis, we look at the depth and breadth of political support, the positions of the incumbent and opposition, as well as labour and corporate groups in those states. In the top right-hand corner, you can see those states which are our climate outperformers, those with high credibility and high durability scores on account of their policy maturity and the cross-party support for decarbonisation in those states. In the bottom left-hand corner, you can see our climate laggards. Those are the states with weak policy maturity on decarbonisation and the energy transition. These states also suffer from low durability scores, pointing to the potential scepticism of energy transition in those states on account of economic and political priorities. In this video, we'll look at states in the centre of our credibility axis, those that have shown policy progress on decarbonisation. But we label these states progressive but at risk on account for their negative durability scores. It's these states which suffer from significant rollback risk in these US midterms. We'll look at three. The first, Oregon, facing a tight race between the governor with a Republican candidate running on a ticket to repeal major pieces of climate legislation, including buildings and tailpipe emissions. Secondly, North Carolina, where a Democrat governor has previously vetoed executive bills from the legislative branch with Republican majorities in the House and Senate. But polling currently suggests that the Republicans could secure a supermajority in the House and Senate, overriding the executive veto and securing major legislative rollbacks as a consequence. Thirdly, Wisconsin, a state which has performed much poorly on the credibility axis, but considerable durability risk remains. Again, a Republican candidate running on a platform to repeal executive targets to get to net zero by 2050 and achieve 100% power generation sector from clean fuels by 2050. The wide-ranging differences in the state-level policy environment in terms of energy and climate policy across the United States creates a complex environment for investors to deploy capital to harness the opportunities of the energy transition. If you'd like help understanding and navigating that environment, reach out to any of our US experts.